And now we start that long, slow descent into hell. So Hellraiser Inferno tells the story of a detective that finds the lament configuration puzzle box at a crime scene and slowly descends into madness. What is up, people? Welcome back to the Hellraiser franchise review series, and now we are at Hellraiser 5, also known as Hellraiser Inferno. Now from here on out, until we get to the last one, Judgment, these are all first-time watches for me. I never had the interest to check out this franchise because I've never heard anything but miserable things about it. So to a certain degree, I was dreading this, and to a certain degree, my curiosity could not have been more piqued of what this collection of movies has in store for me. And Hellraiser Inferno was certainly one of those movies where I watch it and I go, okay, all right, I get it.
Welcome to hell.
So wasting no time whatsoever, jumping right into the positives. The first one that I have is that James Remar is in this movie. Now, that might sound a little bit shallow, the fact that an actor's in here and that's automatically a positive, but I love James Remar. I love him in Dexter, I love him in The Warriors, I love him as a character actor that shows up throughout movie history over the past 20, 30 years. I love this guy. I think that he's always good. He always brings something to it. He just is one of those character actors that as soon as he shows up, my interest is piqued a little bit. I sit up in my chair and I'm like, ooh, it's James. And my final positive, told you, wasting no time. Scott Derrickson does bring a little bit of visual flair to this movie. This was one of, if not his first movies. It was very early on in his career before he was somewhat of a name in horror that he's gained over the past decade or so. So a very capable director that certainly had a good career ahead of him that takes on this property for the first time and tries to make it his own. And he does make it his own quite a bit. There's a lot of really cool, dark, kind of red-hued visuals that go on. There's a very nightmarish quality to this. It definitely has a different tone, a different approach than the other Hellraiser movies, and I think a lot of that has to do with the creativity that this guy has always had. Now moving on to the negatives, and Craig Sheffer might be one of, if not the most miserably unlikable protagonist I have ever seen in a horror film. I mean, from the moment you meet this guy, you hate him. I mean, just the look on his face, he looks like he's got to take a shit. The whole movie is just like, he's just got this fucked up thing going on where you can't attach to his storyline, you can't attach to him as a character at all. You feel like he's done something wrong. Like if you were investigating a crime scene and this guy was within a city block of the crime scene, you're like, that fucking guy did it. Like you just look at his face and tell there's something dark going on behind those eyes. And it was just really hard to follow this movie and follow his journey when you can't get attached to the main character at all. I tried throughout the movie thinking maybe there was going to be some reveals or something that was going to make him a little bit more human or relatable, and it just didn't. And it might not necessarily be his fault. Maybe that's the way the script was. Maybe that's the way he was directed. But this character was so unlikable that it made this movie drag ass like crazy because I never gave a fuck what was going to happen to him. I mean, all throughout the movie, the guy is just staring at everybody, like just waiting to like, I'm gonna fuck you up somehow. I'm gonna kill you. And just, he's one of them guys that would just stand in the checkout lane at Walmart and just pick people to hate. Fucking guy with his oranges. He sets up his partner who's totally innocent or seemingly innocent at one point just to further along his agenda. I mean, he walks away completely from his daughter in one scene, which was kind of like the last straw for me. Like, if there's any way to humanize a character like this, it's the fact that he has a kid and he wants to be a good father. He loves somebody on the level that a father usually loves his daughter, but as soon as we see her, he's kind of like, yeah, whatever, bitch. And one of the main things working against this sequel, which is unfortunately something I'm going to have to repeat numerous times for the rest of this franchise review series, is that this is not a Hellraiser movie. This was never, from inception, this was never meant to be a Hellraiser movie. It was never thought up as a Hellraiser movie. It wasn't written as a Hellraiser movie. There's so many movies in this franchise that you will learn from the behind the scenes that they literally just had this script sitting on a shelf somewhere that was collecting dust. Somebody pulled it off, threw it down on a table and said, you know what, fuck it, put Pinhead on page 27, 85, and 112, show hell, and we got a Hellraiser movie, bitches. And that is absolutely what this is. This is not a Hellraiser movie in style, in tone, in story. You see Pinhead, and that's about the only connection you have to the rest of this franchise. This is much more at home being like a Jacob's Ladder remake or being a Silent Hill movie than it does calling itself Hellraiser. It's a very psychological movie. It's a movie that's trying to trip on your mind, and with visuals. It's not about body horror. It's not about pain and pleasure and torture, and that's very much what Hellraiser has been thus far. And, you know, I might sound hypocritical because I liked 3 more than a few of these movies, and 3 kind of abandons what Hellraiser is to a degree too and kind of goes more the slasher route, but that still feels like a Hellraiser movie to me. This is a totally different subgenre that, for some people, they might appreciate that psychological side of things and might actually like this type of movie more than your quintessential Hellraiser storyline, but not me, unfortunately. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that I don't care at all about the hard-boiled detective storyline that's going on here, as far as solving these murders, or is he being set up, is he actually doing this, or is there some nefarious plot going on behind the scenes, or is it all in his head? Like, there's this very stock neo-noir, hard-boiled detective story that's very generic that's going throughout the entire storyline, which is pretty much what this script started out to be before they started throwing Hellraiser shit in. That doesn't interest me whatsoever. So if the heartbeat of your story is losing me, then the whole body dies. And unfortunately, to ice the cake, the conclusion to this movie I thought was obvious from a mile away. I mean, I never once felt like this was not some kind of a hallucination or not some kind of a mental game that Pinhead was playing with this main character. Even to the point that James Remar's ultimate revelation that he is actually Pinhead, I thought that was obvious too, because he just feels like sticking out like a sore thumb in this movie. Everybody is so dark and glum, and there's so much going on that these little therapy sessions are still so based in reality that it was obvious that was like a story framing device. So for somebody that's seen a lot of horror movies, this did not have any surprises in store for me. So overall, guys, this is the first Hellraiser movie that I can pretty much say I don't have any interest in ever watching again, and I don't have any reason to recommend it. It tries to do some things. Some people I could understand saying this is one of the better sequels from here on out, but it just didn't have anything in store for me. If I had liked the main character a little bit more, I could have stomached it a bit better, but this is a movie that I would put on and I would just have no enjoyment whatsoever from start to finish. There's no fun along the way. There's no characters that I like to revisit. There's no storyline surprises that I'd like to revisit. It just has nothing for me. So if you're a Hellraiser fan, just go ahead and skip this one. It doesn't add anything to the lore, doesn't add anything to the story or the mythology. It's just another generic movie with Hellraiser stuff. So go watch one of the previous sequels and skip this one. So what do you guys think of Hellraiser Inferno? Are you a fan of this one? Did you see it when it came out and thought that it was a good direction to take the series, or you saw the writing on the wall that it's all downhill from here? Let me know your thoughts on Hellraiser Inferno down in the comment section below, guys, and we will talk about it. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the rest of this Hellraiser review series. We're doing one a day until we get through this monstrosity, and then we got a couple more franchises we're going to tackle in November that should be much more fun. Thank you guys for watching, as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.